A JavaScript object is basically a set of properties, and each property can take some values. These values can be primitive types or other objects, including functions. So now the question arises, instead of creating an object from grounds up like we did in the previous lecture, can we not have a way to write some kind of a template and use it to create new objects? Well, JavaScript provides us with what are called as constructor functions. And they are quite like regular JavaScript functions, but when we use the new keyword, JavaScript creates an object from these constructor functions. Let's take the circle example. If we want to create a circle type of an object, we can write a constructor function named circle like this. And because this is just a function, we can pass parameters to it, which can be used at time of constructing the circle object. And here the parameter r represents the radius of a circle. Notice that I have used a capital letter C, although conventionally we use small letters for function names. And that is because for constructor functions, the convention is to use the first letter as capital, so that anyone looking at the code can quickly identify that this JavaScript function is not to be used as a normal function. Rather, it is meant to be used for constructing objects using the new keyword. So take care to follow this naming convention, alright? So let's create a new circle object like this. And if we evaluate C, it is a circle object. But because we have not written any code inside it right now, it's an empty, useless object. If we want to store the value of the radius passed as a parameter, we will need to use the this keyword again, which is another use of it. Inside the circle function, we can say this dot radius is equal to r. And now let's recreate an object like last time. And this time, if we evaluate C, we can see that it has a radius property. So if the this keyword is used inside a constructor function, it gets bound to the object that is created when using the new keyword. Alright? Therefore, the object created has a property named radius, which is initialized to the value passed as the parameter. Similarly, we can implement the area method inside the circle function. And we can say this dot area is equal to the function that does the calculation. Notice that in the area function also, we are referring to this dot radius, which means that we are telling JavaScript that refer to the radius property of that object on which the area function is invoked. Alright? And because we have already created the radius property here, the object created from this function will already contain the radius property initialized to whatever argument we pass as radius. So let's create a circle object again. And let's calculate its area by using the dot notation. Well, because area is just a property of the object, we can also use the index notation to call the function like this. Here, this part just evaluates to the function itself, and when we use the parenthesis, that is a call to that function.